Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for the VeryVera show. And I'm so pleased to introduce these two guys who actually do not need an introduction, Ted and Matt Lee, the Lee brothers from Charleston. Guys, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So much for being here. And you know, they're all over the country. Unless you're completely deaf and blind, you certainly know who they are right now, because they're all over everything in social media. Their brand new cookbook is out, and I lassoed them and said, you've got to come to Augusta, get on the show, and we're going to make 3 of the recipes. So Ted, tell us what you're going to be making tonight.
First, I'm going to be making skillet asparagus. Easy dish that really romances this season.
Oh,
segmented
wonderful.
Grapefruit and skillet grilled asparagus.
And it's in season right now, so that'll be great.
Yeah.
And what about you?
I'm doing the smothered pork chops with just a classic onion and cream gravy, and yum.
Yum, no kidding. And then we're also going to do a Bloody Mary that has kumquats in it, and we actually picked those right here in Augusta. So we've got lots of great recipes tonight. You need to tune in, get yourself comfortable, because everything is delicious in this book and you don't want to miss the show. So join us back after the break, and we'll get started on that Bloody Mary first. Hey, I'm so glad you decided to join us tonight, and as you can see, we have been very busy. Guys, again, thank you so much for joining us on the VeryVera show, and for those of you that have just tuned in, I'm with Matt and Ted Lee, the Lee brothers from Charleston, South Carolina.
We're so glad to be here in your kitchen, Vera.
Well, we're going to have a wonderful time today, and you know, they are traveling with their new cookbook, the Charleston Recipes Cookbook.
Charleston Kitchen.
Charleston Kitchen.
Charleston Kitchen.
With the Lee brothers, and they are doing great things with this book, and you've got to try it. We did a lot of the recipes last night at the book signing, but we're going to start today off on the right track, guys, with a Bloody Mary.
Yes, our kumquat chili Bloody Mary.
Well, let's have it.
Now, we have to explain, our twist on the Bloody Mary is all about these kumquats that we pick in Charleston. They grow in people's backyards. It's just a little citrus, like a little tangerine, and that minced really finely with jalapeno pepper for some heat, some flavor, and blended with salt makes this lovely hot chili paste that we use in all sorts of things. Little dab in split pea soup is great, but it's a wonderful ingredient in just a classic Bloody Mary with that sort of
And we have these in Augusta
spice.
too.
You do.
Yeah,
you do.
That's what I've heard.
You do. In fact, I heard these were picked at the high
They
school.
were, these came right out of
So,
Aquinas High School. Don't tell anybody.
Shall I blend one up?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
We'll actually do 2 at a time, and that involves a couple cups of tomato juice, fresh market, of course, and a couple teaspoons of our kumquat chili paste.
Gosh.
Actually,
Isn't
4
it a
of
beautiful
those.
color?
It is a beautiful color, and you know, I think people really like, even if you're going to have this as a non-alcoholic drink,
Right.
which this is this morning, but just having a lot of good spice in there, I think
Right.
people love.
And Matt's also adding lemon juice and prepared horseradish that's been drained.
You need those classic flavors in a Bloody Mary, or else it isn't a Bloody Mary, is it?
No, absolutely. Shake it up.
Shake it up.
That sounded good and smelling good.
Now, this is one you don't want to strain. You actually want to get all that pulp and goodness right into the glass.
Oh man.
There you
So
go.
just enough. Okay, I guess we're going to fight over who's going to try this.
I think let's
I
let
think
him be the bartender.
I think absolutely. Cheers.
Enjoy.
Cheers.
Yum.
And you know, for those of you that are watching, this sort of thing is perfect for this time of year because a Bloody Mary is wonderful for a brunch. It's great if you're doing something like a christening where you're, you know, having people over after church. It doesn't have to be an alcoholic drink. And, you know, we need to get our young people more interested in things like this. You know, this doesn't have to be an adult drink. A child can learn to have
To
the
appreciate
tomato
it.
juice.
Absolutely.
But, you know, we had so much fun last night at the book signing and doing the things that we did for that. I want everybody to understand that it's fun to try a recipe that you've never done before. Like
Absolutely.
looking for some of these ingredients and trying to make something that you've not made before. So come back with us after the break. You know, asparagus is in season this time of year, and they have got a wonderful recipe for
Skillet asparagus with grapefruit.
Yes.
Very
so we're going
easy.
to do that next. So come back and join us after the break.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome back, and we are busy in Charleston's kitchen right here in Augusta, Georgia with the Lee brothers. And we're making recipes out of their new cookbook that is just going great guns. And actually, you know, Ted, you and I were the ones that were fortunate enough to partake
I
in
was
the
enjoying this Bloody Mary.
But we need to try it with one of these pecan cheese wafers.
Yeah.
This is also another recipe that's in the book.
And a classic
Perfect with this sort of thing.
Classic cocktail party snack from
Perfect, perfect for cocktails and morning brunches. So now we're on to the asparagus dish.
Right, and the idea behind this dish is a real simple dish that romances this season that we're in right now, which is the grapefruits are just falling off the tree in Charleston, and the asparagus is just coming up.
Oh man,
And
it looks
it's super
awesome.
simple. What Matt's doing there is he's actually charring the asparagus in the skillet.
And you notice I'm doing very little. I'm just standing here watching it smoke and smolder. And that's because we want some really nice, dark, grill marks almost on them. And to do that, you just don't worry it.
That's
Don't worry
right.
the pan. Just let
Cast
it
iron
loose.
skillet.
Good hot cast iron skillet, a little bit of oil. And in a minute or so, I'm going to toss them just to try to grill the other sides.
Gosh, and the aroma is awesome too.
Isn't that great? And you're going to show us how to segment a grapefruit,
That's
right?
Well, you know, I do this routine. We were talking about romance. You said romantic dish. But I cut up fruit every night for my husband.
That is
And
so
I
sweet.
could
What a
win-
lucky
I
guy.
could win a fruit cutting up contest. I can cut up fruit so fast. But literally, you're just peeling the rind off the grapefruit. And then as you can see, all the little segments there, you just want to take a sharp knife and you're just going in between each of those membranes. And it just works really well.
Anytime you want to add citrus fruit to a salad, this is a great technique because you get all pulp. There's none of that tough
I know.
pith or membrane in between.
I just love it.
Favorite
I know.
technique.
I
All right,
love this.
now we've got
Okay.
some
Oh, man.
color here.
Okay.
And you toss them just a little bit and then leave them for another minute.
Great. And then what we're going to do with the segments is they've created all this beautiful juice. We're going to create a vinaigrette with that grapefruit juice. So I'm just going to do that in this bowl here. I'm going to strain the segments.
Okay.
Yields like 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. Add some vinegar. A little bit of Dijon mustard. And some olive oil. And that's going to be the dressing that we spoon over the skillet grilled asparagus
Salt
when
and
it's
Oh,
done.
yeah.
A little bit of salt and pepper I've got over here.
Gosh,
Isn't
look
that
how
simple?
wonderful. That is so simple. And like I said, right now, Fresh Market has this on sale because in April, it's just perfect in season. It's a wonderful dish. This is good right out of the skillet. It can also be served at room temperature or cold, correct?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great luncheon dish
Oh, man.
or an easy dinner. Matt, you want to pass that over and I'll just plate up some of these guys. Excuse my hands, Vera.
Oh, no problem. Look at
But
that.
Isn't that wonderful?
Gosh, those are the best sectioned grapefruit I've ever seen.
Aren't they, though? You can add some grapefruit zest to it if you want to make it
Oh,
look
look at that.
pretty.
Now, how did you do the zest?
I just sliced it up on just
On the edge
really
of the
thinly,
rind.
right? And I got all the pith out before, and then we can just spoon some of this dressing over.
Okay, for those of you that are counting calories, obviously this is a really great choice. Love to, and on the asparagus, whether it's, the longer you cook it, of course, the more tender it's gonna get. I
Right.
like a little bit of crispness in mine, so that's gonna be really good. But a beautiful dish, this would make a gorgeous platter for a buffet. So obviously, another simple but delicious recipe right out of their new cookbook. So come back and join us after the break. We are going to do
Smothered pork chops.
with gravy. Oh my goodness, forget the calories on that recipe. But that's gonna be our next dish, so come back and join us after the break. Okay, say we're smoking hot in here. Oh my goodness. And we're saved one of the best parts till last. I'm with the Lee brothers, Nat and Ted, and we've had such a great last couple of days together.
It's been
Thank
so
you guys
fun.
again for being here.
pleasure.
But we're ready now to get these pork chops going. This pan is hot.
And these are smothered pork chops inspired by a place we love in our hometown in Charleston, a place called Bertha's. These are smothered pork chops with onion gravy. Super easy weeknight dish.
So I'm dredging them in a really light egg wash, just some milk and 1 egg yolk. My dredge is a mixture of flour and cornmeal. Flour for lightness and flavor, and cornmeal to give it a little heartier flavor
Yeah, I
and some
don't
color,
know why
and plenty
that
of black pepper. And
Well,
and some salt.
I ran into the fresh market yesterday to pick up the pork chops, and yeah, that was what I was hoping you were going to say. I
Yes.
think they look really good too. And you know, when you're in there, if you don't see in the case what you want, they're always really happy to cut the
Yeah.
thickness that you want.
And having
that
a
kind of thing.
relationship with your butcher is a very important thing. Definitely.
We're like this,
Yeah.
so that
I mean, don't
works
get
out
too
great.
close. But
Don't get too
comfortable, but not
close.
close.
Okay.
So the idea is we're just going to get a nice golden side going. We're going to flip them over, then we're going to hold them in the oven while we make our yummy onion gravy.
Turn that up just a little
Our
bit. maybe.
smothering onion gravy in
In
the
the drippings.
Yes.
Okay, so you went ahead and got 2 done. About how long aside do you think?
A couple minutes aside. This one we could do a little bit more. It's looking good.
Well, tell me what, on this particular recipe, what prompted, I know you said it was from Bertha's.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
throughout
It's just
the
a
book,
great.
you're kind of giving us some really inside look at some of your favorite places and people
Yeah.
in Charleston.
Well, the great thing about Charleston is, I'm sure, like Augusta, it's a great food town, a lot of traditions, and there are a lot of people who add to those traditions and make those traditions happen. And we just felt it was, in the book, it was our opportunity to introduce people to the friends, to the fishermen, to the chefs who make our cooking and eating lives in Charleston so enjoyable.
Well, how are these people reacting to the popularity of the book and their now notoriety from their recipes
Well,
and stuff?
We heard from the man who's the crabber who goes out and catches crabs in the Stono River, and he said that he's now teased by his clients.
Mercilessly.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
He's photographed and discussed in the book.
Because he's become a crabber celebrity.
Oh, look how pretty and golden that is. Okay, now this is canola oil
Yes.
that we're using?
Yeah, we're using canola oil. You want it because it's high heat.
Okay,
I use
okay,
peanut oil as well,
all right.
a little more expensive. But now I'm going to remove these to the plate to warm.
Okay.
Okay, let's see whether this side's pretty.
Oh, that looks great, yeah.
Prettier.
We'll put
Okay.
those into a low oven to warm, and then we'll start making our gravy.
Okay.
Now I think you've got just enough right there for your.
Okay.
You want me to pour off some of that?
Yeah, maybe if you could pour off just a
Okay.
couple tablespoons. You've got that waster bowl. You don't want too much oil in your pan when you make your gravy. Just a little bit, enough
These
to
cast
fry
iron
the,
pans are
to fry the
heavy.
onions.
There we go.
But that's
Okay.
going to be beautiful. That's perfect. I'm
Oh,
going to
look
put
at
my
that.
onions in.
Okay, these are
And they're
Vidalia
gonna-
onions, right? You
Yeah,
know, you're in
that's
Georgia now.
I know I'm in Georgia. These are beautiful.
Oh man, those look great.
You want to continue that pork flavor using just that little bit of rendered pork fat and
You know,
canola oil.
gravy is one of those recipes I know for all of you newlyweds out there, and you think, you know, I know my grandmother made gravy, my mom made gravy, but I'm scared to make gravy. It's just, I hope they're going to see that it's just not that hard.
It's so easy.
not a lot of
And
magic
I'm going
to
to
it.
scatter my flour in. You want to scatter it around so it doesn't clump.
I don't want any
Here.
grease on my apron now.
I know.
You're getting
know,
grease
Vera, I
and
know.
flour and chicken broth by the end of the day.
All right, and then we're gonna cook the flour a little bit because you want to, flour has a raw taste, and you want to get that. You want to toast it a little bit in the pan. I mean, you can
Oh, I
smell
see
it.
it's starting to turn a nice golden color.
Isn't that beautiful?
You know, I always say this, if the TV if you could
Right.
get the smell,
Smell-o-vision.
oh man.
All right, so we're just gonna let that go for a bit, and then add some chicken broth.
And you know, I also use Fresh Market's brand of broths, and I always like to tell everybody that when you open this, be sure to put your date that you opened it. I think a lot of times we forget these
Right, you lose
expiration dates.
track.
You lose track of how long it's been in the refrigerator.
This is some half and half.
Oh, man.
And we're just gonna let that simmer down until it's good and beautiful.
It'll thicken up. The flour in there will thicken the gravy a lot, and just reducing an evaporation will get it to that consistency where it just oozes
Well,
down the
obviously,
pork chop.
we can see here that we've got some wonderful, authentic recipes in the new cookbook, the Lee Brothers
Charleston Kitchen.
And we want you to be part of it. So come back and join us after the break. We're going to put this stuff together, and we're going to see what it tastes like. Good job. Expressions of sympathy can sometimes be awkward. You know, we all immediately think of food and flowers, which are wonderful things to do, but there's so many other things that you could possibly do to a neighbor or to a relative or good friend when someone passes away. Something as simple as offering to cut the grass or doing some light housework or running some errands is always a wonderful gesture. Another thing that you could do would be to take paper products. You know, people don't think about that generally, and it's so needed. We always wonder if there's a way that you could maybe make a contribution, and generally you'll find that information in the obituaries. But finally, there's nothing like a personal note to let that person know right away or even later how much the person that passed away meant to you and how they might have affected you in your life. Welcome back, and you know, I'm always so glad to have helpers on the show, and I'm just going to pull out these beautiful pork chops that we just got finished. Oh my goodness, guys.
Don't they look great?
You have definitely earned your keep today.
In Vera's kitchen,
Y'all
we have
must
earned
have
our
a
keep.
really wonderful mother.
We do.
Mother and
We
father.
do.
Mother and father. This is so great, and we are with the Lee Brothers with their Charleston Kitchen cookbook that is completely great. All the recipes today are in the new book, and if you don't have one yet, we have two places where you can go to get them. In Augusta, you can go to the White Crane, and in Aiken, Three Monkeys. Both stores hosted gorgeous book signings.
Wonderful parties.
We had the best time. We've got autographed copies of the book still at both locations, so be sure to do that. I want to thank both of them for doing that for us. So where are we
I've
with
been
this
working on this
wonderful
gravy. It is nice and thick. It's just about the point where I want it. Ted, you want to
beautiful.
grab a spoon and we'll ladle
Yeah,
some
why
over
don't we?
there? Here, I'll just push that.
All right.
This one's going to be yours, Vera.
Okay. That looks fantastic.
Smother it, come on.
Smother it.
I'd probably just take a cast iron pan and dump
And
it right
dump it
over.
right in
Yep,
there.
that looks good.
Let me give her a whirl on that. Let's see
You
this
go
thing.
for it.
Look at this. That
Doesn't
is
that look great?
That is just a
spectacular.
classic Southern gravy.
All right, so you know, if you're looking for something wonderful for dinner one night and you're flipping through the pages of this great book, we've got a delicious smothered pork chop. We have a citrus
Skillet asparagus with grapefruit.
skillet asparagus with grapefruit. We had the
Delicious
dandy
Bloody Marys.
Bloody Mary mix.
Some
We have
pecan cheese wafers.
Pecan cheese wafers that are really great. And I'm going to start diving into
Yeah,
some
why
of
don't you take a
this.
bite?
But before I
think you
do, I want to again thank both of you for making this trip and coming to join me for the VeryVera show. It's been quite an
Thank
honor.
you.
Our pleasure.
This goes in my history book of wonderful episodes, and I think you will all agree. But I want to remind everyone that this is our last show of season 3, so we've ended with a bang. I want you to come join us in the month of May. We've got a May extravaganza. All the shows will be at different times in May because of some of the sporting events, but we want you to join us. I'm going to actually have a wonderful Mother's Day show, a great wedding show. We're going to do a barbecue show for the guys. So we've got a great month of May planned. But in the meantime, let's jump into this
Jump
pork
in.
chop and see what this is going to be all about. And you know, remember, when you're using your knife, you point with your finger, you put the knife on the edge of the plate, then you swap hands.
We learned so much from you, Vera.
Well,
So fun.
just like I always say at the close of every show, and I cannot tell you how delicious that is. Whatever you do,
Do it with good taste.
Good. That's perfect.
I knew I'd mess
No
it
matter what you do it in good
Doing it in
taste.
good taste.
And I'm keeping that true because I've got great taste in friends. Thank you for being with the Very
Thank
Vera
you.
Show, and come back again, guys.
Anytime.
We will.